Hello and welcome to Cool But Rude, a TMNT rewatch podcast. So today we actually have a special episode where we're going to be going over Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, the recent animated film that came out this year. So just to give you guys a heads up, there are going to be some spoilers. If you're cool with that, stay tuned. Otherwise, turn back now. All right, so those brave enough. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher.
I'm Robert.
I'm Mike.
And we're here to go over Mutant Mayhem.
It's time, boys.
Yes, Robert's been chomping at the bit this one, and I gotta admit, I was slacking. But we're here now, and we're doing it.
So, where do we start? Do we want to start with the quick overview of the plot, and then we'll just kind of quick reminder to everybody, or if anybody hasn't seen it, just quick kind of general heads up of what's going on in this one, and then we'll start talking about it.
If you want to do a rundown, that's cool. I mean, just once more, like the final warning, there's spoilers ahead. So, but yeah, no, let's do it.
Spoilers ahead. So this is just a very brief overview of what. Yeah, very very high, even more so than when we usually do an episode.
Cool.
So in this so this first of all is it's basically like a new continuity, right? It doesn't pick up off of any of the other shows or series or anything like that. In this one, Baxter Stockman, he's a rogue scientist from TCRI, which stands for Techno Cosmic Research Institute. Baxter and this institute, and Baxter in particular, have created a substance that will cause animals to mutate into more human-like animals. So Baxter made them. I don't know if they call it mutagen. I know they call it ooze. Does Superfly call it mutagen? Before, I remember there's a part where they're like, you know what, we call it ooze, and he's like, oh yeah, I like that.
I thought he called it. He could call it mutagen or slime,
something like that. But okay, so whatever they call it, Baxter created it. The movie starts off with them with kind of like an assault team from this institute raiding Baxter's home because, like I said, he's gone rogue and he's basically taken it for himself. And what he wants to do is kind of create his own. He doesn't like humans, he says, and he wants to create his own family of mutants. Starts off with him getting raided. These guys bust in and they find all of his mutants, which are kind of like they're like mostly in test tubes at this point, except for the fly that he's created, which is kind of like a baby. It's fully, it lives and breathes normal air, whereas the other things are kind of still in tubes. He tries to save it. He ends up getting killed and the fly escapes. We learn later that the fly was also later able to go back and rescue all of the other mutants from the Institute. In the midst of this, some mutagen fell down the drain, and you can guess what happened next. Jump forward, I think it's 15 years, and we are with the Ninja Turtles and Splinter. Their story in this one is that the mutagen hit all of them at the same time, but Splinter was older as a rat, so he was kind of the dad. The turtles were babies. So he raised them as his kids. They always wanted to see like the real world outside the sewers. So one day he finally gave in and he took them out there, and it was just a disaster. Everybody hated them. People were trying to like attack him and this kind of stuff. And so they fled back to the sewers. And from then on, Splinter kind of came to hate humans. And he also found a bunch of videos to train them in ninjutsu so that like if they ever had to encounter a human, they would be able to fight them off. One day, the Ninja Turtles are, as teens, they are practicing their ninja stuff on a roof. Long story short, they meet April, and they kind of get caught up with her. April is a student at a high school. She's kind of on she's kind of like an amateur journalist, and she happens to have been tracking down this one big criminal who's kind of doing stuff all over the city, but nobody really knows why. He's paying people to steal this and that. Through meeting April, they end up tracking him down and meet up with him. and they eventually meet. They eventually do meet up with him, as well as all of the other mutants. This criminal was the Fly, that from the beginning. That's Superfly is what his name is in this one. They meet Superfly. They meet many of the other mutants that you're familiar with from the series. Of course, Bebop and Rocksteady, Genghis Frog, and a bunch of others. And we learned that Superfly is hatching an evil plan to basically mutate every single life form in the world. And he's not sure what he's going to do with he also hates humans because he had an experience similar to Splinter's. And his idea is to mutate everything so that they've kind of all fit in better. And then with the humans, he's either going to enslave them or he's basically like, I don't know what I'm going to do. We can enslave them, or we can like use them as our pets, or we can eat them.
Fat booty boy races.
Fat booty boy races was one of his ideas.
Amazing.
Redhead shows, like dog shows. And so of course they want to stop him. And that's kind of what the rest of the movie's about. Where do we go from here, guys? Do we want to broad stroke? So the three of us haven't really talked. I think we've kept our cards fairly close to our chest regarding how much we liked it, so that we could kind of do that on this episode.
Yeah.
Do we want to?
I mean, I'll go first. I mean, I'll just say, like, I was actually pleasantly surprised how much better this was than I expected.
Awesome. So were you expecting it to not be great?
Correct. I am a self-confessed purist in the sense of that anything compared to the 1987 series pales. And I'm not a fan of like a lot of the different iterations that I've seen taking place. And this one, and while, I do have my, gripes or whatever, it was actually very entertaining as a movie. And I was like, all right, cool. And I definitely appreciated the character portrayals of at least the primary turtles. So yeah.
Okay. I was actually expecting to like it. I was super pumped about it. I thought everything I saw about it looked great. And even with that, I was still surprised at how much I liked it. It honestly blew me away.
Nice. That's great. Great.
I was so happy watching this. I went to see it with my daughter. She loved it too. I've watched it 3 more times since seeing it in the movie theater.
Oh, snap.
Wow.
I love this. I straight up love this movie.
That's cool.
Mike, what's your first impression?
I had a great time watching this. I just didn't care this time around about the differences between, the turtles that I know. I gave up that kind of being a purist.
Smart man. Yeah.
And I was able to really just kick back and enjoy this movie for what it was. And it was a great time.
I want to just point out 2 more kind of big picture things before we start talking about more specific stuff. I think 2 very noteworthy things worth pointing out are, 1, the art style.
Yeah. The animation style is
super unique.
Yeah.
And it looks like, I'm sure just about anybody listening to this has seen it, but it looks like any given frame of the movie was hand painted. Like, I know it wasn't, but that's what the style looks like.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, second thing is, again, another thing pretty much everybody probably knows, but worth pointing out, they are portrayed as much younger than any other version of them that we've seen before. Well, I say much younger, at least several years younger. This is definitely the youngest that we've seen them portrayed.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that, Phil.
They're like actual teenagers in this one. They're not.
Yeah,
they're not.
87. It's like they were like
age teenagers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like in the 87 one, it's like 20-year-olds played by teenagers.
Mm.
I was gonna say the animation style is stuck out big time, and that's another thing. Call me a stick in the mud, call me an old man. I don't really give a shit. But there's certain things I just, I see them and knee jerk because it's like, nah. And this is something stacked against this movie, in my opinion. And I came to appreciate it, like the way it was done. And I don't know if it was maybe some of the later scenes or the way they did, like they really kind of like saturated certain colors or whatnot. But I was like, this is tight. Like it looked good. And so by the end of the movie, I was like into it. I was like, all right, cool. It's like at first it kind of reminded me of like a janky ass version of that like Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Okay, yeah. I can see where you're getting
like that crossed with like the multiverse Spider-Man movies, the animated ones we had like, the last couple of years. Yeah, the animation, the movie itself, I came around. So yeah, I dug it.
Mike, what did you? Because I thought the art looked great from the beginning, like even just from previews and stuff. What were your thoughts?
Same. I thought it looked excellent. I mean,
okay.
I love the way they drew everything. Yeah, it looked. I want a video game like this with this style.
Oh, that would be great.
Like the animation, just not even the art style. It was so fluid, but it was also kind of like that twitchy type animation. I don't know how else to describe it, but it just added
almost kind of stop motion-y.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like not really.
Yes.
Like it's much smoother than stop motion, but it does have a little hint of that.
I think that added to especially like the fighting scenes and some of the comedy as well.
Yeah. And also, aside from the actual art style, the general use of color was just outstanding. Like it's like just the color, just the colors in general, I think were amazing. Like especially when they're in the bowling alley, you know, and in the chase scene and that kind of stuff.
When they were downtown New York, that like they were fighting in the city, that shit was tight.
Yes. Yeah, that was great. And another thing, the soundtrack.
Okay, the soundtrack was dope, but I was like, what demographic is this movie for? Because almost every one of those songs, like, had to be like, they had to use like the safe version, and was like almost all those tracks are around like murder and drugs and everything, except they don't play that part of the song. I was just like, that's tight. Like, I'm into this, but I was like, yeah, y'all know what this song's about? Because it's like, if you listen for 3 more seconds, he talks about shooting some fool in his head for his rhymes.
That's 100% true, but for me, it was so well used that I didn't even think about that. I was just like, this is the most badass use of this music.
Oh yeah, 100%
possible.
I was totally down with it. I was just like, it's cool. I'm just like, all right, cool.
And the original music was also just bang on. Like it was that was more atmospheric. So it was. I don't know if you guys know this. It was Trent Reznor and I forgot who did the original score parts.
Oh, it was Atticus Ross because he usually works with him.
Yes, that's it. That's right. Okay. Atticus Ross. And it was so good. But like I said, that was a little more atmospheric, more ambient. The original stuff was, but it was great. Like when they go out and see New York for the first time, or like just very like kind of just specific parts of the movie where it had that stuff like that. Like no matter which music it was all just used amazingly well, I thought.
I agree.
Yeah, I liked it when I heard like ODB show up. I was like, what? I was like, it's like, all right, cool. And also, like one of the main tracks, I think it was one of the ones I even heard in the commercials or trailers, was the one by MOP. I was like, all right, that's tight. That's like I think one of the bigger ones they played a couple times in the movie. But no, it was the soundtrack was banging for sure. I didn't even really pay attention too much to that soundtrack or the score, but the actual songs I thought were well used and appropriate. I was like, all right, cool. Like this is cool. It gets me hyped up for the scene.
I was very surprised and
no diggity. That's another one.
Okay, that part, yeah, we'll get to in a second. But the old dirty bastard, oh baby, I like it raw.
Yes,
that was great.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
that was I could just watch that scene on repeat. I could just like have that playing in the back. I could have just a monitor in my room just devoted to playing that whole scene over and over again. But you mentioned no diggity. Can we agree that the 2 best scenes in the movie are no diggity and the car chase scene with what's it called by 4 Non Blondes? What's up?
Oh, 4 Non-Blondes. Yeah. What's going on? Yeah.
Oh
my gosh. Mondo Gecko's flying out the windshield.
Dude, both of those were just so fucking cool.
Yes.
Very much so.
Amen. Yeah. That was a very good use of that. I was just like, oh man, I know exactly what's going to happen. I know exactly what part of the song is going to be playing when they're flying out that damn windshield. And sure enough, I was just like, yes.
It's great when they're like, when it's getting ready and it's building up and you can see Donatello and he's got his bow staff and he's about to slam on the brakes with it. And just like you said, you know what's going to happen. And he does it and it goes slow-mo with them all flying through the windshield and shit.
Yeah, and I like how like a good movie, you know, it harkens back to the point where earlier he's bitching about having a stick, and now they're like, we need a stick.
Yeah.
yeah. That was great. Well, somebody else, I've got a lot of stuff that I like to talk about, but what else? What were some of the other highlights? Like those two scenes you can't beat for me, like just about any movie ever, but like what were some other highlights for you guys?
For me, the first time I was like, at least at the moment I can recall, I was like really digging it, was when they went to go recover April's scooter and they had that first fight.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all like just getting jacked up on their own, like they just jacked themselves up. And it's just like, that's like, I have a stick. Why do I have a stick? And he like gets stabbed in the leg by a side, and like Mike's about to puke. And he's like, oh,
yeah.
It's just like, I'll go to hell. And then the bad guys,
I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh. But that was like the first scene where I was just like, all right, this is gonna be cool.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because yes, that was great. My favorite parts of that were the part leading up to that and right after that. So first they come up to the place, and this is again where the guys stole April's scooter has been stolen. This is when they first meet her.
Yes.
And Leo like instantly falls in love with her, and he's like, "We gotta go save her!" And he runs off, and I think it was Mikey or Donatello says, "I think all his hormones just kicked in at once."
I think it's Donnie. Yeah.
But so they go and they find the shop where it's been taken to I guess, you know, be sold or stripped down or whatever, and they bust in and they're about to go in, and Leonardo's like planning their attack. He's like, we're gonna use stealth, we're gonna block all the doors, blah blah blah. And Raphael goes, you said go loud, and then he just he just lets out a scream and runs in and busts in the door. And then when they're in there, and then they see there's a bunch of guys and they're getting ready to fight. And it's kind of panning. It's got the four of them standing there. It's kind of panning back and forth to whoever's talking. But in the very front, in the foreground the whole time, is Raphael just like just like smiling and breathing heavy, like knowing he's about, knowing he's about to get into a fight. And he's like, every night I dream of fighting. And then somebody says, you have a rage problem. And he goes, it's not a problem.
Yes.
And then they start fighting, and the one guy runs up to him, and he just picks him up and straight slams him on the ground and spits on him.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see him spit on him. That's awesome.
Suplexed him.
Yep. Yeah, he just straight no ninja skills whatsoever. Just straight up raw muscle. Pick him up, slam him down, spit on him.
Beautiful.
I gotta say, I think in this version of the Ninja Turtles, Raphael is my favorite.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
He was really cool.
Yeah, I think I liked how they actually kind of almost exaggerated their personality types in this one. And I appreciated that. I was like, all right, yeah, they just like turned everybody up to 11. Everyone just trying really hard to be the archetype, you know, that they've been assigned.
I felt like that was true, except for Michelangelo. He was the only one that I felt was a little bit weaker version of his usual self, like as far as just his general personality. He wasn't like yes, he was always trying to have fun and joke around, but he wasn't like the party dude. He was more like just like, hey, here's a little joke I got, you know, like.
True. Yeah, I can see that one. Yeah, but I think the other three, especially
the other three for sure.
Yeah, and definitely with Leonardo, where they made him just like such a buzzkill so many times. Or, you know, the one that's like has like a love interest or whatever. It's just like, but you know, it comes, you know, he ends up paying off in the end. So, as typical, you know. So,
Mike, what other scenes stand out to you?
The scene where they were going after the heads of each of the
Different like
each of
like the side
Okay.
factions
kind of
kind
like
of
groups tracking down who's behind it all. Yeah.
I liked how they had each turtle bust into, do the whole trope of busting down the door on the bad guys, how they had each turtle do it. And then they had this action shot, this running continuous action shot of a different turtle. They switched to a different turtle as they were running through the bad guys.
Yeah.
And I like Raphael's. He was just literally running through and just tossing people while the other turtles were doing all these like nice ninja moves and stuff.
And he's
I
like
thought
a ball
that
of China
scene was-
shop. Yeah.
I noticed today watching it that Leonardo, you have to almost pause it to see, but he straight up hits a guy in the face with one of his swords.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of hitting people in the face, I was trying to like keep an eye out for like kill count of any kind. And I feel like the first person I recognized killing anybody, like other than like, the bad guy doing his thing, was Master Splinter. Like straight up stabbed some dude in the face. Like
yeah.
like stabbed him with a taser. Like blah. I was like, oh, that's tight.
That was pretty hardcore.
And like we can't like not mention that their Master Splinter is Jackie Chan.
Yeah, that was a
right.
treat.
Yes,
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was
I
super
think he
cool.
really did a great job.
I was actually really impressed with Ice Cube. I was like, dude, this guy slayed.
yeah.
Yeah.
He did great.
He made that character.
Man, he was awesome.
And I love the intro they did when he had his family. He's like, yeah, this Bebop Rocksteady. Everybody gets out all hard and everybody's like all
bopping and
badass
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, oh shit. And it's just like everybody gets their intro. And it's what's his face?
That part was fucking awesome.
Genghis
They got
Frog.
the boombox.
Genghis-
Genghis Frog, and everybody's like, "Oh, Noodle Frog."
He's like, man, your name whack. Get a new name, bro. Like, what?
And after they're talking about like how cute he is, he's like, "Don't patronize me." Like, because everybody thinks he's a baby at first, they don't realize he's like a grown ass adult.
Yeah,
Who
he's like
voiced him?
Hannibal Buress.
Okay, I thought that was...
Yeah, I didn't get to hear
what I
like
read.
either. I don't know, for whatever reason he didn't come in as loud as like some of the other characters, and so I couldn't really make out his voice, but I started to look him up. But like Cena was Rocksteady and Bebop was Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I dug, even though like they changed Leatherhead to a chick in this movie, they used an actual Australian to voice her, so that was cool. They used Rose Byrne, so
Oh, is she Australian? I didn't know that.
yeah.
That's kind of what I wanted to ask you guys. Like, how did you feel about the majority of the voice acting, the choices?
I honestly thought it was Leatherhead caught me a little bit off guard, and still does. That's one still where I watch it the fourth time now,
A little jarring.
and it just doesn't seem. Yeah, it's a little jarring.
Mm.
Partly also because Leatherhead looks really intense in this one with the glowing eyes. And it just doesn't sound like it
It matches.
it matches. Yeah.
Mm.
But really everything else I thought was, again, like just straight spot on.
Does he have a shotgun?
Yes.
Nice.
I thought Scumbug's voice, I mean, not much of a voice, but Scumbug was pretty hilarious.
Scumbug was tight. Like when that one rolled up, I was like, "What the hell, man? They got Scumbug in here." He's like, "Wah, wah, wah." And then I loved how it like, I don't know if it was intentional or what, but how it like tied into the fact that like Master Splinter used to have a cockroach friend, and his name was Kevin.
Yeah.
And then he ends up hooking up with a cockroach.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yep.
Right.
So it's like this dude's got a thing like being an affinity for cockroaches, and just the fact that he's like his name was Kevin. I ate him.
Yeah, that was pretty good. For the main turtles, each voice was just perfect for the personality that they were trying to portray. They all did a great job, and it went further towards like endearing them, for me at least.
Mm-hmm.
I especially like Donatello this whole movie. I think he might be my favorite character of this movie. It's just the way he was drawn,
really?
the way he acted, the voice. It was just really, really good.
He was really kind of a standout.
Ferris Bueller's scene was pretty cool.
That was cool. That was nice.
That was
yeah.
unexpected, yeah.
Yes,
Very
definitely.
unexpected.
Movie in the park. Yeah.
the milking joke was pretty good.
Oh yes, I have that written down.
Just
that running
the payoff, like, you know, it was fine when they actually made the joke the first few times, but then when you get the payoff later on, that was
right.
really good.
They actually do get milked. That was great.
They actually do get milked.
That was so rough. Yes.
And Splinter's like, does that say milking machine?
Right.
Oh, no.
You mentioned the Ferris Bueller scene. Like, I think that whole plot point of them wanting to experience normal teenage life, I think that was a good choice too, because that really makes them, like, you know, relatable to a younger audience. And then also it just does even further to endear them to the audience, just, you know, younger, old alike. I think that was a really good thing for them to build on. And also just the whole "you're a mutant like me," you know, thing with because I'm pretty sure we have our thoughts about the portrayal of a lot of the so-called villains. But I don't know. I think that it was well written, in my opinion. And I'm not one to just, I know a well written movie. I know a good movie from a bad movie because I mean, I can be easily entertained, but I just thought that the writing was really good. I feel like they hung their hats on some good plot points. The whole wanting to be a team thing, and like the, you know, we're not alone. You're mutants like me. We should be working together, blah, blah, blah. Even Superfly, when he was, I kind of felt for him. It was a scene where he was like, you know, why are y'all doing this? And I'm like, man, you know, I feel you. Like, these are your family. You know, these are your mutants. These are the only people that you can relate to, and they don't share your vision. I mean, as jacked up as his vision was, you can still put yourself in his shoes in any situation where people that you think are your people, and it's just like, y'all just leaving me out to dry. So I don't know. I think they did a really good job of not being cookie cutter characters, plot points, just vanilla, you know, white bread stuff. I don't know. It was good just all the way through.
I agree with that, and I think to further your point, one of maybe my single favorite thing about the story itself was the part where they were playing along at first, and then there was the car chase scene where they kind of, you know, gave up their cover so they could try to save the world. And then they get captured and milked, and Splinter saves them. Then they go back and they're like, we got to stop him. So they go back to him and they're like, hey, and it's kind of like what you said. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why do you care about the humans? And they're like, well, look, here's the deal. I don't think this is a good idea. And they start like kind of trying to convince the other mutants who are bad guys at this point in the movie. They try to convince them like why they shouldn't try to kill all humans. And it completely subverted anything you expect to happen at this point, because they actually were like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
Like that never happens in a movie.
Right.
You never just straight up convince. Obviously it didn't work with Superfly because you still have to have a villain, but it was so surprising and honestly, like, very nice to see them just do something different where it's like, you know what? Actually, yeah, you're right. They convinced, they you know, we're going to let them be convinced by this. And it's like 99% of the bad guys in the movie are all of a sudden all good guys.
Right. Yeah.
That was that was a very pleasant surprise to me, because the cliche thing would just be to make them be like, you know, screw you. And then we're going to have a big fight.
Yeah.
I was so pleasantly surprised by that. That was such a cool thing about the plot.
Same here. 100%. I was curious how you felt about that, Christopher, because I know that just from past, you know, conversations we had about various things and how far a new thing will be from the way things have always been with the characters or whatever. How do you feel about that one?
That was cool. I mean, I thought it worked out, and I was like, it made sense in this sense, or because those characters that they convinced, they never knew Baxter. He died before they were born. Superfly knew Baxter. Baxter was his dad. And so he had that attachment. He had the need for revenge. So they went deeper than what these other mutants were being, told. They were just kind of had the wool pulled over their eyes and getting brainwashed by Superfly. And they had their own experiences, but they didn't have that extra attachment to a father figure. So I felt in Superfly's defense, this would be a little harder pill for him to swallow, to just suddenly I'm going to flip sides. All the other guys, that made sense. I was like, okay, like these guys don't have any reason to be bad. And like, it wasn't like Bebop and Rocksteady were always bad guys. They weren't like, gangbangers that turned into mutants or any of these other guys. They just grew up, mutants. So it was like, no, it all gelled. And so when it's done correctly, like in a way where it's linear and makes sense, okay, I can appreciate it. Even if it is a totally different take or whatnot. But when it's like, you start adapting things or just like flipping things because, and it's like already established and you're just like piecemealing, that's all bullshit. Mm-hmm. But this one worked out because it just kind of felt like it was from scratch.
Nice.
I think in my opinion, they underutilized the TCRI concept.
Oh, okay.
I feel that would have been. It's like I almost forgot it was there. It was like that's like the umbrella. Like that's the big bad. Like Superfly literally is the big bad, but it's like forgetting if Krang was there, or something like a Technodrome. It's just like, no, that guy is still trying to come over and kill everything. So it's like, no, these guys are. So I felt like they didn't touch on that enough.
That's a good point. Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. What do you think, Robert, about TCRI? Think they weren't fleshed out enough?
No, I didn't really feel that way. I felt like they served their purpose in the plot. They needed a big corporation to have kind of been the foundation for how all this got started. They used it a few times, but it wasn't. I didn't see that as the focus of the movie. I saw that as just kind of almost like a supporting foundation for the rest of the movie. So that didn't bother me.
Mm-hmm. And now, it does like per the credits.
Yeah,
it does lend itself that
post credits.
Yes, that there's a scene there that does lend itself to the idea that it will be a sequel and that TCRI will play a larger role. Now, if that comes to fruition, I'll be satisfied in the sense of like, okay, the way they did this works.
Right. Also about that, speaking of a bigger role, now the lady's last name, Utram.
Yep.
If that's the Krangs, like that whole.
That's his race, right?
That's the Krang race.
Okay,
yes.
I was like, isn't that?
Yeah.
Do you think that? What was her name? Cassandra? Whatever her name was.
I think it's Cynthia.
Cynthia. Do you think that she might actually be a Krang?
I was wondering that. I was wondering if that's just like an homage,
right,
to Krang, or if it's going to somehow turn out that she's actually an alien or something like that. I just don't know. I couldn't.
No speculation. Gotcha.
No, I don't really have any. I feel like it's 50-50. Could be either way.
Part of me thinks it's like, are we really going to like do the dimensional thing, or are we going or alien thing? Or is this going to be an homage where it's like she's the big bad pulling the strings and she's, the name is, the connection.
Right. You know what? I bet, thinking about it, it's going to be more of her name is an homage, because thinking back to the beginning, Baxter was straight up the one who created this. And even she says like this was Baxter's invention. So she didn't come from another dimension and give him something to create this mutagen. She just basically owns the company. It doesn't sound like she has any special
origin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys pick up on any like, I don't know, like Easter eggs or any like other, speaking of homages, like any nods or anything to stuff we've already seen established?
I've got one for sure, and one that I'm not sure if it's supposed to be an homage.
I got one.
All right, I want to hear your one.
Eastman High.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that.
Wow. I thought it was like pretty out there, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. It should have been. Yeah, that should have been pretty obvious. Yeah.
Nice.
And he's also one of the voice actors. I looked it up, and he's like the guy in Times Square that asks Splinter if he's okay or needs help.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, that's tight.
Slightly diverting a bit because I was looking at the credits, and they attributed Mr. Beast as Times Square guy. Who is that? Like, what Times Square guy were they talking about? They should give more.
There's a million. Yeah, like, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I thought that's who they were talking about, that guy that asked Splinter. But if that's Kevin Eastman, then I don't know what Times Square guy they're talking about.
Maybe it's the guy who at the beginning grabs Splinter. He's like, it's a crappy Mickey Mouse costume. And he's like, oh, I touched it. He's real. All right. Well, to follow up on Chris's Easter egg, I didn't notice this until I was watching it for the fourth time today when they meet April and they finally get done with that fight scene and everything. And they're like, she's trying to ask him like where they're from. And they're like, can we eat while we talk about this? Cause we're hungry or whatever. And she was like, how about pizza? And so they get some pizza and they go to the top of a building and they're like eating up there and talking with her. There's a bit I don't know how I didn't notice it the first time, but I guess it's not on scene for very long. But when they first walk onto the rooftop, there's kind of a wide shot and there's a big giant neon sign on top of the building that says the Laird.
Oh,
no way.
Yeah.
That's tight.
Missing everything. Cool. God, dog.
Did you guys catch that Mauser?
No.
What?
Man, you been sleeping, bro.
For real.
No, there was, and I literally was sleeping. No. There was, at the end during, it was the post-credit scene there when April and Leo are, doing their little segment on her little conspiracy board. There's a printout of a Mauser.
Really?
Straight up.
Did not catch that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like a foreshadowing.
I mean, it has to be, or something. Or I mean,
it should be.
It should be. I mean, if not, then it's like that's just a cool, like I said, Easter egg. Oh wow, yeah, that is tight. Like, wow, it's cool to see Peter Laird because it's like I don't feel like I see like him get the shout out as much. Maybe because he's not like in the scene as much as Eastman.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, I see Eastman all the time at like conventions or whatever and doing like cameos or, showing up and doing stuff. But Peter Laird, and I'm not sure if there's like for whatever reason why, but it's just I don't see him as much in the spotlight.
Interesting.
But it's cool. I really dig it when that happens.
The one that I'm not sure is an Easter egg or if I'm just forcing this. There's a part where it's during the car chase scene, and it's the part where Superfly straight up just goes into the van and starts beating the shit out of them like individually while they're inside the van.
Mm-hmm.
Leonardo tries chopping him with his sword. And he raises his sword and he swings it, and his sword gets stuck in the top of the van. Okay, Do you remember in the cartoon when Donatello makes when he makes the turtle van, Leonardo says, "Oh, the roof's not high enough. I don't have room to practice in here."
Wow. Dude, it could be a coincidence, but I think that would be a legit awesome nod to that.
Yeah, if that is if they did that on purpose, then hats off to them.
Hey, kudos to you for catching it, because that's some deep cut shit right there.
Exactly. Right. Man. Y'all is catching all kind of stuff.
Do you have any, Mike?
The only one I got was so obvious is just the ninja rap that was on the radio.
Oh, okay.
Snap.
Well, that
I
was
forgot
good.
To mention that one. Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one, though.
Ninja go.
Yeah. And that's the thing about this whole movie. I feel like I really like how it was a good mix of various continuities. I don't think I've said this on the podcast before, but I have no knowledge of the comics. I have no knowledge of the second Ninja Turtle cartoon series, the one that's in between the 87 and then the Nickelodeon one.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the rise of the Ninja Turtles. The only knowledge I have is the 87 cartoons and the 2012 Nickelodeon cartoons. And I think that this movie drew not only adequate, but really good parts from each of those. And I'm quite sure, the comics and everything else. But I don't know. I think this movie does a good job of including a lot of different sources and something to appeal to everyone. It felt good. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know. It was good stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think I pretty much agree with all that. I thought they did a great job of, they mixed up a lot of the elements in their own unique way, but had enough of all the stuff we're familiar with to keep everybody happy.
Yeah.
Or, to keep most people, to keep reasonably most people happy with what they're used to seeing with Ninja Turtles.
Right.
Now, here I come. Party pooper. Hot take. But, the one major gripe I have about this, because overall I thought it was pretty dope, is the ending. And not necessarily the ending. Well, yeah, I guess it's the ending. But where it's like the turtles get integrated into society.
Okay.
I'm like, and they start like commingling with like dating, and it's just like all this like shit. And I'm like, what? I'm like, no. Like, it's one thing where it's just like they're heroes that were like kind of like a Batman thing. It's like, they're not the heroes we need, it's one we deserve. And it's just like the citizens stay out of the way, or they have different opinions. But like to go straight up, be like, oh no, they're like people. It's like, no, they are not like people. Like they will, you will find this out very quickly. But it's just, yeah, that was my thing where I was just like, I was like, all right, it was cool. And then I was like, everybody's happy, kumbaya. But now it's just like, really? Yeah. That was me.
Went too far with the integration.
Went too far with it, yeah. And I'm not trying to sound like some. Wow, thanks, Mike. Like, just make me. Yeah, they say I sit with water fountains too. Like, it's like, no. I'm just saying, it's like they're different species, bro. Like,
that was not my intention. Great.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my thing. Where I was just like, and I liked it when all the other mutants were chilling in the sewer, and they're all like, now they found like their own ways
cool.
to commingle, and I was like, oh, this is tight. Like, even me, it's just like, oh man, those guys are established villains. I was like, no, because they did it cool. I was like, no, let them all fucking kick it together, and like they're all doing their thing, and you got fucking Post Malone singing as Ray Follett, and it was just like, I'm like, what? But okay, it's cool. I don't even like it when what's his name, Superfly is like, man, if I want to be sad, I'll listen to John Legend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, amen.
I honestly thought that was kind of heartwarming the way they just were like, yeah, no, everybody accepts them now. Like that was another kind of pleasant surprise where I sort of expected it to happen another way, but then it did it this way. I was like, you know what? That's pretty neat. I like this.
Mike?
I'm honestly in between you two because I thought that was, it wasn't that I disliked it. I just felt it was, up until this point, they had been doing a good job of being realistic. Like April's reaction to them, her saying, if you guys hadn't helped me, yeah, I'd be scared crazy right now. I thought that was very realistic, and I think that was a good way to stay grounded.
Yeah.
I started having an issue. I don't know. I'll just say I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if it's an issue or what yet. But when April started taking over the newscast and you started painting the pictures of the turtles as heroes, I felt like the transition was of the rest of the humans. I'm like, okay, this has to be the best humans, the best open-minded, humans gathered in these two city blocks right now here at this moment, because for them to turn so lovingly toward the turtles and the mutants.
And literally while they're running from a giant mutant.
Right. Exactly. I just felt the transition was a little too abrupt and a little too
shit.
complete. And then also when they started going to school, it wasn't quite along the same lines as you, Christopher, but while it did make me feel good, the only thing I could think of is like, this is not how kids act. This is not how school kids, they don't accept a person if their shoes aren't a name brand.
Yes.
They're not going to accept these turtles. But I'm like, okay, that's being cynical. That's getting outside the realm of this feel good movie. Take it for what it is. But it did bother me a little bit. I don't know exactly how I feel about it. I'm interested. What do you guys think? Do you think that maybe in the sequel, because we know there's going to be a sequel, and I have not read anything about what might happen in the sequels or anything about them, except that there probably will be one. Do you think that they'll deal more with the turtles' struggles because they are mutants trying to live a normal teenage life? I think that if they incorporate
there's
that,
a good chance.
Okay, because if they incorporate that, then I think that would, maybe soothe a little bit of this, what we were talking about. Well, me and Christopher are talking about, just having blinders on acceptance or whatever. If they go into that, like, okay, they're struggling with getting bullied or getting their hearts broken or discrimination, obviously, is the biggest one. If they go more into that as teenagers, some of the normal stuff that teenagers deal with and all of that other stuff, I think that could be pretty powerful also. But I almost think it's necessary at this point.
I feel that one thing, like, along your lines, one thing I could see, and I've seen it happen in other stories or movies or whatever, is that they almost retcon it in a way like, we tried it but it didn't work. Like, so everybody ends up back in the sewer.
Oh, okay.
It's just like, we tried, we did this, and then it was just like, these things weren't working out, so we ended up just having to go back to where we lived. And like, everybody's still cool, but it's at the same time, it's just like, not quite. Okay. And like, you still have April as the bridge. And like, maybe like for whatever reason, her relationship with Leo doesn't work out. Because that's like another thing where it's just like, I mean, and beyond the whole, beyond the species thing or any of the romance thing, it's just like, I've never really seen that as something that could work with these characters. For like, she works well as their human foil, not as a love interest.
Mm-hmm.
Put her with Casey.
You think Casey Jones will be in the next one? I think he's got to be.
Right? He has to be. Yeah, I think somebody like that.
Do you think? I know I'm wrong. I don't even know why I'm asking you guys this, but I guess I'll just reveal my stupidity. Do you remember when it was the bad guy or Superfly, when he was recounting his story about him trying to take the other mutants topside and try to live amongst the humans, and they were getting chased? And he was like, there was one human in particular that was okay. Do you remember that part, right? And he had a bat.
Know exactly what. Yes, I went back and watched that because I had the same exact thought that you're about to ask.
Okay, at least I'm not alone.
It's not him.
Okay.
And I really thought it was, but it's clearly like just a random bald guy.
Okay.
Well, you thought Casey was out there hating on mutants?
I thought I did too. I thought it was Casey because he was like, there was this one particular guy who kept chasing us down and he wouldn't just run off.
Right.
And I had to beat him within an inch of his life. And I was like, oh, and it kind of shows him for just a second. I thought it was like just enough just to be a little like teaser for if you're paying attention. Mm-hmm. And he's got a bat too, which really makes it seem that way. And the scene is so quick, it almost kind of looks like he has a mask also, but he's kind of shadowed. Yeah. But if you go back and look closely, it's unfortunately definitely not him. It's Burn.
Oh, wow. The origins of Burn.
That's why he's got this smear campaign against all mutants.
Yeah, exactly.
I did appreciate April working at or going to Channel 6, like that being the place where she like.
Yeah, that was.
And, nice. And yes, this is another instance of a suspended like belief where she like knocks the anchor off,
takes over the newscast.
And I was like, it's like a 16-year-old girl telling the news during a crisis. All right, cool. And then she throws up a little bit.
Oh yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, like these guys didn't even like, they couldn't forgive a girl that threw up on because of some stage fright. They're gonna accept some goddamn mutants.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, no.
Who else would you want to see in the next one?
I'd be happy with just about anybody, really. Definitely. So there, I would like to see more of the mutants we've already seen.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're purely talking about new people, I don't think this is, I was about to, as much as I was about to say Metalhead, but I don't feel like it's gotten to the point yet where he has a place. I feel like Metalhead's going to have to wait if he's going to show up.
Mm.
The leader of the Crooked Ninja Turtle gang.
I knew it. I knew you were going to go there.
Wow. This guy.
Honestly, the whole Crooked Ninja Turtle game, that could be, if you really want to go old 80s, 90s bad guy trope, goofy bunch of Dumbos, they could incorporate them pretty easily, I guess. Kind of comic relief foils. Is that really the only person you can think of?
I mean, yeah, besides the people who are already, maybe like Muckman.
That'd be neat.
Man.
That would be cool.
Or what if they had Taka and Razar? Forgot how you pronounce his name.
Dang. I didn't think about those guys.
I don't usually equate them to like anything in continuity, but I guess they have been introduced into like to a degree, like some part like of animated continuity. But yeah, I mean that'd be cool. Those guys are pretty imposing.
What about you? Who you'd want to see?
I mean, definitely Casey. Definitely, Tin Face. As dumb as it is, I wouldn't mind seeing like a Vernon and Irma.
Oh yeah,
I want to see like their continuity, like that
would be fun.
They're like, and part of me was almost like thinking that we would get that.
I think now that you say Casey Jones, I know we were just talking about it a second ago, but I guess that's really the one. But, obviously we know Shredder's going to be there, so otherwise he would be my first guess. I think Casey Jones. I would be interested. Because I really am, because he's cool, but also I'm really curious to see how they would use him.
Yes.
Mike?
Casey is definitely one of them. Rat King, maybe.
Okay.
Oh, man.
I'm glad. I don't know if you were just picking up what I was putting down, like mental waves or whatever. But tell me if dude that quote unquote ratted out Superfly didn't look like a rat.
Who?
The guy, he was like the guy they finally got because everybody was like passing the buck, all the heads of the different families or whatever, or organizations.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that guy. Okay, yes, that guy did look like a rat for sure.
And it's just like, what? Maybe that's them being like, oh, what you got, Rat King? And then he rats out, Superfly. Just I may be reaching, but
hey,
he kind of looks like one. He acts like one. Talks like one. Sounds like one. Smells like one. Probably is one.
Right.
Who was your favorite mutant that is in the movie besides the turtles?
Yeah, Mondo. He was awesome. Plus, his Paul Rudd. It's like it's hard not to like anything he does.
Yeah.
I like their vibe.
Oh, him and Mikey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I guess if you want to look at it, I guess that could be kind of a clue that at least Mondo wasn't going to stay a bad guy for the entire movie.
Oh, for sure.
I was surprised at how well they kept him as before he turns, of course, they kept him as a bad guy, but still like the same personality,
likable.
When he, yeah.
I guess if I had to pick a favorite, honestly, Superfly.
Superfly is tight.
Just, I don't know. I just, it might just all be down to Ice Cube. It's just, he did a really good job with that character. Cause I don't know. I've always liked the way Ice Cube talk anyhow, but, I think he really gave identity to that character. And just some of the lines and the way he said it, it wasn't as Hollywood as you would expect it to be. I don't know if that makes sense. It just gave more groundage to the groundage. Is that a word?
I don't think so.
Well, I'm gonna use it.
I get in here, but because it's like when and also the way he says things, like especially with him, I can see him saying it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right. So I can see him like wrinkle his face up and squint up like in Friday or something. It's like, man, that's whack. Like, what the hell is this? Like, nah, like, yeah, and you're all, right. Yeah. He's like, you tripping? And it's just like, oh, like that's Ice Cube. You know, get his AK.
He did a good job of just voice acting wise. Not even, I mean, yes, with the drawn character too, but voice acting especially of just being very intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, when he turned around when the question, the
hypothetical.
Yeah.
I
felt
just getting silly here.
Man.
I did too.
He's like, I don't like what you're saying.
Right.
Oh shit. Yeah. It's just like, what?
I got a purely hypothetical question. Just getting silly here.
Yes.
What if we don't like your plan?
Well, I'd say I was wrong about you.
Oh yeah.
The way he slammed the door and just stood there for a minute. Didn't even turn around and look at him. Oh man.
Yep.
That was good.
Yeah.
I like it when so for everybody listening, so there's eventually Superfly gets super mutated and he goes from being just a fly to being like a fly mixed with like everything. There's like, and I don't know where the hell horses came from. But he's water, like,
right?
Yeah. So he's blended with like a whale and like horses and like all kinds of crap. He's got like a claw now from like octopus on his face.
A giraffe forehead.
Giraffe. Yeah. So he's all over the place. He comes up and he's like this giant Godzilla sized thing taking over the city. He's all wreaking havoc. And the turtles, they get this anti-mutagen gun from TCRI. Like their SWAT team has them, and he shoots it. Like one of the turtles shoots it and hits like his foot. He's like, a horse, man. I don't need that horse. Like,
right?
Yeah. Like one little thing came off of him and turned back into normal and like ran off. And it was like, to me, that was hilarious. I was like, holy shit.
It was really funny. I didn't need that horse.
Yeah, it was super dope.
I always loved them, but I thought they did a great job with Bebop and Rocksteady in this one. Did you guys love them as much as I did? Because I thought they were awesome and hilarious.
Yeah, I thought they were really well done, well used. They didn't like use them a ton. They used them just enough. And yeah, I was digging them. You could tell they were like imposing, like they had like strength, like they went 1-on-1 versus Superfly to a degree. And but he's so he's I don't know how the hell this fly is like the super jacked one, but he's able to manhandle everybody.
Yeah. I like how Bebop calls him Rock. It just kind of like adds a little level of friendship, I guess, sort of.
Yeah, like some sort of closeness.
They did portray that, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was all really good. And also, one of my favorite parts is at the very end when they've all moved in with the turtles, and it's just like a 2-second scene, but it's kind of like panning over and showing like kind of it's not a montage, but it's sort of like that. They're just kind of spinning around with the camera and showing what everybody's up to and what they're doing. And Bebop and Rocksteady are moving a couch and they're arguing.
Yes.
And they're arguing about where to put it. And Bebop's like, I want to put it up against the wall. And Rocksteady goes, that's so basic.
Exactly. Yes.
I think you had mentioned it like a while back, but there's a couple scenes, like for some reason they just like gratuitously focus on like his like pig teat and like a piercing.
They did.
Oh yeah,
they did.
It's like, I'm like, why am I looking at this on like the full screen? Like,
that's what you see in full view when they start bopping to the music after they get out of the car.
Yes.
Yeah, they get out of the car, turn on the boombox,
and then there's like another scene at the end where it's like it shows them all like I think together, or like I think the turtles are going to school or something like that, and like they're being sent off, and the whole crew's there, and like once again you just see like Bebop with his like pig teat, and I'm like, quit showing me this.
Real quick, I also thought the baby versions, when we see the baby versions of all the mutants, they're like the cutest they could have possibly portrayed them. And also Genghis Frog was super cute all the way through.
Oh, you want a plushie of Genghis Frog?
I do. There's this part where they're after Superfly turns into the big Godzilla monster, they're like racing across the bay, I guess, to go try to stop him. And so there's like this big body of water that they're having to cross, and they're like, some of them are flying. Obviously, Ray Filet's like swimming, and Genghis Frog shows up, and he's just like hopping across the water. But it's so funny looking because he looks like such a baby, which is, as we've established, because they thought he was a baby to begin with. But he's got like the serious face on.
Oh.
It just looks really funny the way he's hopping across the water.
I missed that.
I didn't even notice that until like almost the end. I was like, wait, this dude's got braces on?
Where do y'all think? Big question here. Michelangelo got his braces. Or were you just gonna say that was Donatello's doing?
Yeah, he's became an orthodontist. That's cool.
That's the only answer I can think of.
I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense that I can think of either. Donatello just like learned how to make braces.
Right.
And helped him out. Do you think, this is my last question, I think. Do you think they'll have them be a little bit more grown up and mature in the next one? Or do you think they're just going to keep them as they are? Or do you think they'll be maybe closer to, maybe not quite the level of like the 1987 series, but a little bit older than they are? Or you think they're just going to stick with what they got?
I think I could see them being a little older. Like, they could still be teenagers and like, because right now I feel like they're like 15, 16. And I could see them being the next one being like 18, 19.
Maybe like seniors in high school and
Yeah.
stuff.
Because realistically, it's like, how long are these guys going to be teenagers?
Yeah. How long are the voice actors going to sound like they sound?
Oh, yeah.
Well, how long has Bart Simpson been a teenager?
Well,
think about that.
25 years or something.
Yes, we must not forget about Bart. You're right.
They're not even working in real time. Like, they're working at some like a de-aged universe.
Well, I guess that kind of goes with my question. Do you think this is going to be a new established universe where they just keep making movies, in this specific timeline?
They're making a TV show based on it.
Oh, for Mutant Mayhem? Oh,
yeah.
That's cool.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know if there's any date or any even like year on when it's supposed to come out, but it has been said that what's his name? Seth Rogen is making it.
Nice.
To go back to an older question you had posed, I wouldn't mind seeing a version of Karai in this, because I think she adds a whole new wrinkle, and I'm curious to see how they will portray her now that we'll be getting, Shredder in the next one. What do you think he's gonna do?
Who, Shredder?
I just think he's going to be Shredder and do Shredder stuff.
Just be Shreddering.
I think we should privy anybody around still that how we know Shredder will show up, because he was not in this movie.
Oh yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, there is a post-credit scene which I almost had missed before.
Sped it even though.
Yeah, before coming on today and recording this, and there is a post-credit scene that reveals that Cynthia Utron has a fly in like a little jar, and she talks about how replicating the mutants will not be as hard as they thought, but capturing them will be more harder, more difficult. And in that case, they know who just to call the Shredder. And it pans out, and across the bay, you see a figure, like a partial figure, which is obviously Shredder with his like wrist blades and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool. So we know for certain Shredder is coming back, or coming.
Yep.
Instant hype for the next movie. I'm looking forward to it.
Part of me actually seeing that little fly, like almost like lets me like want to think that like, are we gonna get Baxter back? Like I know he's
dead.
Man,
dead.
But I don't know. Are they going to make another Superfly or what's up? And like, did you notice that Superfly had the same hairstyle that Baxter did?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah, he had the same hairstyle as his quote unquote dad.
Okay.
So I'm like, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. So Shredder is coming.
Real quick, did you notice how badass baby Superfly was? He took out all those guys when they raided Baxter Stockman's place at the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah, he killed like half a dozen people.
Yeah.
Little baby. Yeah. I guess that's why it's so strong now.
Yeah.
Little baby Superfly. A lot of cute.
I was actually kind of hoping to hear Superfly at some point in the movie, like the song.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
That would have been cool, yeah. I think I've just got one more question. Do you think that specifically Bebop and Rocksteady will stay good, or will they somehow go over to the Shredder?
Ooh.
I think they'll probably stay good. I feel like that was such a big move to make them good guys in the first place that it would be really weak just to go back on that.
Okay.
I definitely see Robert's point in that, but at the same time, I could definitely see them pulling something where it's like they tried being good guys and it just wasn't like their thing. They got bored. Yeah, it's like they got bored and they're like, oh, we'd rather go do this. And then they find like some sort of like leadership or whatever under Shredder.
Okay.
I can see both ways. I mean, I actually at this point want them to stay good.
Same.
And yes,
you know, since, you know, they're all, you know, warm and fuzzy in this universe, maybe they could like branch out. Like, you know, you could have different mutants go to different cities and set up different, like, do different things or whatnot. Or maybe they're all
man
like,
wants a Green Lantern Corps in every city for the mutants.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. The next one's going to have the guy with the eye. It's going to start the Eye of Sarnoth saga in the next movie.
You piece of trash.
I'm not watching that.
Don't you speak those words into existence.
We're going to get Blodgett also.
You know, I'm willing to take Blodgett if we can get that shoe fist gun.
This is true.
We've gone right off the rails, but yes.
All right, so Blodgett's okay, but we also have to have Baxter's gun, but maybe Blodgett made it or something.
He's not making that. We're going to say Shredder made that. Or Utron.
Okay, Shredder makes it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would be cool also to see the Turtle Van, like a fully fledged, like fleshed out Turtle Van.
That would be cool. Yeah, that would be a good one. I would like to see that.
One thing real quick though that I did notice and really like about Mondo Gecko is that they kept the skateboard on the roller skate on his tail.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah. That was cool.
And then when it comes off his tail, he's like, "Don't worry, it grows back."
It grows back.
He's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Yeah, because he like thought he was dead.
Yeah.
That was a cool scene.
That was a pretty cool scene. Yeah. When because Michelangelo, yeah, that was a cool. Yes, Michelangelo's like so dazed and he's all like blackened up, like he's got black eyes and stuff, and like Donatello is just like wandering out in the street, and Raphael has to save him from the car being thrown. All that was the whole scene was cool. Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. So I think all around we enjoyed ourselves with this movie.
Yes.
I'm so glad we all liked it.
We might as well give this some slices.
We got to. I've got my Excel spreadsheet pulled up. I'm ready.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll, start it off. For what it is, an animated Ninja Turtle movie, I'm going to give it an 8. I thought it was entertaining. If you're a fan, I think you should appreciate it. And it's definitely funny. It's got cool visuals, great voice acting. So yeah, I was definitely, it's a good way to burn a couple hours.
As I said, I was very excited about this movie. I thought it looked awesome. I thought it was going to be awesome. And even on top of that, it blew my expectations out of the water. I'm not lying. This is the thing I'm about to say is what I told my wife and daughter as we were leaving the movie theater. This hasn't changed since. This is one of my favorite movies I've ever seen in my life.
Holy crap,
man.
I cannot I just absolutely loved everything about it. I mean, like, yes, it's not, there's no such thing as a perfect movie. Maybe that's overstating, but straight up, one of my favorite movies I've ever seen.
That's cool.
That's way
I would
cool.
give it a 14 out of 10 if I could.
Damn, nice. All right.
Man, excellent. I totally loved this entire movie. Just the vibe of it. The little nitpicky things that I had with it were just totally irrelevant. I have no reason to not give it a 10. I enjoyed myself thoroughly through both viewings, and I'd watch it again. This is one I'm going to get on Blu-ray.
Yeah. I've pre-ordered the Steelbook.
Oh, yeah, I think I'll do the same. Right. No, 10 for me, man. Just everything about it. It was a better time than I've had with an animated movie in a long time. And for it to be the source material that it is, the Turtles, all cylinders, man. And no, it's not flawless. I mean, I'll even say like some of the real world references started to get, I'll just say noticeable. How much they kept mentioning different things like Forza Horizon, Chris Pine, just different real world things. It didn't get annoying, but it was just like very noticeable.
Mm. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like where kind of pulls you out of it a little bit, maybe.
A little bit, yes, exactly.
Yeah,
that's the perfect way to put it. But those are just small gripes, and it was not enough for me to be like, So yeah, full marks.
Hell yeah! So that gives us a 9.3. Okay, yeah, 9.33 average score for this one.
That's high.
That's way higher than I thought it would be. I'll be honest, and I'll just say it, Christopher. I didn't think you were gonna like it as much as you did.
I didn't either, but I'm not one of those people that's going to be like, I'm not going to like it because I didn't think I was going to like it. I was I let myself, I just go in there and be like, all right, whatever happens, happens. And, like I was honest, like I was sitting there and I'm like watching this thing, having a couple of laughs here and there. And
with a stomach ache.
Yes, it was. Yeah, while I was watching this, I was recovering from a upset stomach in the middle of the night. So I figured make the most of my time, get this knocked out, and I'm glad I did because it was the perfect thing to watch while I was sitting there feeling like crap, and I felt better at the end of it.
Nice. Some good medicine for you.
The movie cured me of my ailment.
Just because of the movie, you felt better.
Just Bebop's
rat teat or pig teat. Yeah. We didn't even really touch on Splinter, who is actually, I think.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was awesome. Like, so anybody you need that watches it, check out Splinter. He's cool. He does a lot of good stuff. Like he especially when he retells the origin, like their own origin. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like he uses it as a punishment of weight and swords.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He also did a lot of like when he started fighting, you could tell that they drew from Jackie Chan's movies. The way he was using like objects to
good point.
In the chair, stuff like that. Yes, I didn't even notice that. Yes, Splinter kicked ass this time.
He very
better
much
than
did.
I think most anything I've seen him in the cartoon.
For sure.
At least the 1987 one, for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, unfortunately.
All right. Well, that was awesome.
It was.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So cool. All right, everybody. Yeah, definitely recommend checking out Mutant Mayhem. Anybody, any last words?
No, I don't think so.
Redhead shows, fat booty boy racism, baby tossing.
Baby tossing, that was on there.
Oh, baby tossing, yes. So on that note, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.